Hello, fellow YouTubers. Welcome to Walking with J.Beau on this overcast Thursday, March 13th. Somewhat overcast. We're going to do the 5-mile route today. Hope everybody's having a good week. A little cool today, upper 30s, breezy. Feels warmer than it did this winter, but it does not feel warm. Yesterday I didn't walk because it was windy and cold, colder than today. It was about 30, 31 degrees. And with the wind, it felt like it was 25. So, looking at the extended forecast, I decided, well, I'm just not going to walk because we have much better days coming. We got some days in the 50s coming up. A couple of days, it's going to be almost 60. So, I can't complain about that. So today there's a slight breeze, it's a little cool. I think we'll be all right. Snow is slowly disappearing. I do sincerely hope everybody's having a good time right now with your life. If you're not, I apologize. We are going to cross the road here. If the sun was out today, it'd be great because the sun's getting higher up in the sky. It's nice and warm when it hits you. Across here, and yeah, I'm going to take a same old boring route today because this vlog is about exercise and walking daily. I'm talking about whatever. It's not so much about where I'm going or where I'm walking, but if you enjoy some of the vista, that's fine. I'm going to talk real quick about RFK Jr. Because I noticed something he said yesterday that some people were scratching their heads at, and I was too until I looked into it. But they were listing off a bunch of ingredients that they claim should not be in foods. And you know, the usual stuff, polysorbate 80 and, you know, all the other stuff we'd like to see gone. And then he mentioned riboflavin. and he actually called it riboflavin. So riboflavin is B2. It's an essential vitamin for your nervous system and immune system. So I think he was the victim of a typo, because RFK Jr. knows the difference between riboflavin and B2. So I think the sheet of paper he had listed a bunch of chemicals that are in the foods and had riboflavin, but I think it was typoed as riboflan because that's what he actually says in the video. He doesn't say riboflavin. So I think he was handed something to him by his staff, and it's just a typo. Because after reading those, he goes, I don't even know what the hell those are. So everybody has read riboflavin on a package of ingredients. Everybody. So anyway, they tried to make a big deal out of it. No, this is the guy we got. He doesn't even know what B2 is called riboflavin. Typical MAGA disappointment. Of course, that comes from the left. But anyway, he clearly states in the video, he says riboflan. And then I researched riboflan, and I saw that typo on a Google search about 3, maybe 4 times in review studies as a typo on the PDF document. And so I think that particular typo has found its way into the search engines, probably autocorrect. So somebody was typing that out for him, and it auto-corrected to riboflan, and that's why it's there. Of course, that's just a guess, but you know, people are just people. He's obviously not going to ban riboflavin because he'd have to ban most foods that we eat because it's in a lot of foods naturally. And I did a lot of research on it, and a lot of metabolic breakdown occurs from bacteria, good bacteria in your intestines, that actually manufacture some riboflavin, because that's how it's made. Now the other possibility, turn the camera around, the other possibility is he may have very well been talking about synthesized riboflavin made in a lab, because they do that with B12, and the B12 one that's bad and made in a lab is cyanobolumbominum and something or other. But basically the first part of it represents a molecule from cyanide, and the chemical name is cyo whatever. You can look it up on Wiki, and it is made from a molecule from cyanide, artificially manufactured. Now B12 is one of the most difficult for your body to absorb. A lot of it gets destroyed by stomach acid, and you get it from eggs and other foods, but your body stores up about 4 years worth of B12 in your liver. And in fact, it's like that for most creatures. And in fact, when they started discovering what B12 deficiency does to people, they discovered that animal liver, either from cattle or whatever, had high amounts of B12 in liver. So they were having people that were B12 deficient eating liver in their diet, which I find liver to be disgusting, because it is. But you know, it's like this part of the filtration system for your body, and I don't want to eat a filter, but apparently there's B12 in it. So anyway, I know this because I get vitamin deficient. I suffer from vitamin deficiency caused by processed foods. Specifically, the culprit that got me was cornflakes. I've talked about this on past walks. If you're new, forgive me. I'll go on with it again. If you're new, I'll explain it, and for whoever's been here before, I apologize ahead of time. But right around 2008, I went to go see a movie. The movie was Iron Man. Good movie, by the way. I don't like the newer Marvel films, but at the time Marvel Studios wasn't owned by Disney. So anyway, they didn't have all that woke stuff in it, I guess is my point. So anyway, I'm watching the movie, and you know, my left cheek is numb, and my left wrist is numb, the ball of my foot on my left foot is numb, my left thigh is getting numb, and my left cheek is tingling and getting numb. I noticed I was dropping things with my left hand. Had a difficult time, you know, with the teaspoon, cup of coffee. I mean, I could hold it just fine, but if I did something quickly or whatever, you know, drop the fork on the floor, that kind of thing. So I don't have that problem now because I figured out what it was. For a good 20 years, I was having at least one bowl of cornflakes in the morning, sometimes another one during the day. And over 20 years, it gave me celiac disease. Because unbeknownst to most people, Kellogg's decided to save money and start processing their foods, using corn syrup instead of sugar. And the big one that got me was malted barley. Malted barley, basically hot rodded something that's natural, but they enhanced it for more flavor and consistency and whatever else. Anyway, that's what caused my celiac disease, which is a disease that causes inflammation, an autoimmune response from your small intestine that causes damage to the lining of your small intestine, where most of your nutrients are absorbed immediately after leaving the stomach. So now I have permanent scar tissue. I was scoped for it, and I was also scoped at the other end. I don't want to get into that. That wasn't any fun at all. So anyway, I had a vitamin deficiency. So pretty much everything I get depleted of, which includes vitamin D, C. I actually just got caught having a low vitamin C level, which was leading to psoriasis issues. And because vitamin C is very important for skin health and your immune system. So one of the first things you notice is it taking longer for scratches to heal, itching on my back, specifically along my collarbone where it makes contact with my shirt. Just having itching, elbows. So I did some research on vitamin C, figured out that's what it was. Because I'm telling you right now, you go see a doctor and you tell them about this stuff, they look at you cross-eyed. They don't even know what you're talking about. They only know what they were taught. So anyway, I upped my dose of vitamin C daily, and within 4 days that cleared up, because this had been something that was going on for 3-4 months, and it was starting to drive me nuts. I hate itching, and you can tell when you feel the skin too. It kind of feels, it doesn't feel right. It feels a little stiff, I'll call it, right where my collarbone where it was itching, and I cleared that up. I knew something wasn't right when I had that tick on my shoulder blade last July, and it took way too long for that to heal. So you start wondering things, you know. Oh geez, diabetes, you know. Now it takes a while for the healing issues, and you already know you have diabetes by that point, for obvious other symptoms, you know. So anyway, turn the camera around. You don't want to see me huff and puff up this damn hill, I'm sure. So anyway, that's what I did. Saw a metal sign on the sidewalk. I wanted to see if it was some kind of weird license plate. It was face down, but it was just some kind of metal plate. So you just saw a prime example of when you get walking, you warm up, or running. Those two ladies were running in shorts, and they weren't cold. Well, one of them had shorts. Just like right now, I'm starting to really sweat. And it's about 39 degrees. Pretty soon that yard over there will have a white Mustang in it. Looks like a vintage 1960s Mustang. So anyway, I figured out what was causing my problems. But back to the Iron Man movie with B12. That was a B12 deficiency. And when I first started taking B12, I was taking the wrong one, which did the job I wanted. By realizing that I was going to be taking that almost daily, I needed to find a better solution, which I did. I got some pure B12, unmessed with. Costs a little bit more, not much. Comes in a little vial with an eyedropper. And you just fill up the eyedropper and put the eyedropper under your tongue. Well, you don't need to put the eyedropper under your tongue, but you need to squeeze out the B12 under your tongue, because the blood vessels in your tongue absorb the B12, which is natural B12, directly into your bloodstream, bypassing your stomach, which, as I explained, stomach acid really destroys a lot of the B12 that you take in a supplement. So they do have sublingual tablets that dissolve under your tongue, but a lot of those are the cyanide ones synthesized in a lab. Not recommended. The liquid one's the best, and actually the absolute best is to get an injection from your doctor once a month, as I just found a shoot cycling jug. Shoot cycling. Window washer fluid, good for 20 below zero, which is what you use this time of year. I'll be replacing mine with summer one pretty soon when I get low, since it's not going to be freezing anymore. So it's unfortunate, but you have to do a lot of your own research and not trust what doctors tell you, because while I had all this stuff going on with me, I was seeing a doctor. And he was acting like there was nothing wrong. You go get some blood work done, and they do blood work to test for certain things, and they're looking for things like blood cancer, white blood cell count, and all this other stuff, and it didn't fix my problem. Researched it myself, and then it fixed my problems. So I'm just telling you from personal experience. I'm not on here telling you not to trust your doctor, because YouTube's going to give me a strike on my channel for giving false medical advice. What I'm saying is trust but verify. Research what they tell you. Because what happened was, as I found out the information I did, and I had to talk with my doctor and explain to him what the issue was, and then he knew where to go. He didn't pick up on it on his own, I guess is my point. And I was being as detailed as possible, telling him the symptoms I had. And your physician is more likely is going to say, okay, well, you're having bowel issues, they'll send you here to go get you scoped. If you're having these other issues, they'll send you here to have you scoped. They don't really know what's wrong. So that's the first thing you need to understand about an MD. They check out the basics, they listen to your heart. If they hear anything abnormal, they do know what to listen to for that. But, so it's one of those things where trust but verify. And it's not a crime to check out what your doctor is telling you, because a lot of times they're wrong. And technically, technically they're right because they went to school for it and that's what they were taught, but they had absolutely no teaching in school about food additives, symptoms from that. They don't know anything about that stuff any more than you do. So if you have some symptoms like I did with tingling cheek and numbness, and the first thing they think of is stroke issues. So they start asking you about, you know, stroke symptoms. No, didn't have any of that. Nothing. No. So he was looking at me like, you know, well, maybe this guy's, you know, just one of those people that always thinks there's something wrong with him. And so I'm going to do what I was taught and just tell him to take vitamins, if that's what he believes, because taking vitamins isn't going to hurt you unless you really take way too much of something. Too much of something is never a good thing. So anyway, you can get a B12 injection from your doctor. He offered to do that because subsequently the testing did show I was B12 deficient. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to take these over the counter with the molecule from cyanide. And he seemed surprised that I knew that, because I don't think he knew that. And I know he researched it because that was the last time he talked about it. So anyway, I'll flip the camera around again. So hopefully something I'm saying makes sense. We grew up in an era where doctors had, you know, almost like angelic views. You know, we had views on them that were almost like they were special people because, you know, they're healers. And it turns out that the same thing that's wrong with most people apply to doctors too. Some of them are arrogant. They think they know everything, so they refuse to look at something new. You know, they just shake their head at it right away. Nah. I'm going to rely on what they taught me, and that's it. Then you have other ones that say, you know what, you might have something there. Let me look into it and I'll get back to you. That's a good doctor. They'll call another doctor who specializes in that. And, well, pretty much email now. Back in the day, they would make a phone call. I don't even think they do that anymore. So, anyway, figured out what was wrong. My main culprits right now are iron, B12, vitamin C, vitamin D, I get deficient in. It's not as bad in the summertime because we go shooting every weekend, which is another thing I wanted to talk about. When you go out in the sunshine, you need to wear protection, sunscreen, especially if you're of European descent, fair-haired, you know, redhead, blonde. The blonde European Anglo-Saxon is very susceptible to skin cancer. And my genes go back to France. Probably not an issue. I don't recall anybody in my family ever having skin cancer, especially with my dad, who used to work shirtless on bridges and construction. He always had a dark tan every year, spent a lot of time cooking in the sun all summer, no sunscreen, and never had an issue. So obviously it's something I may be concerned with, or maybe not. But if I was very, very light-skinned and blonde, that is definitely something you should watch. Or if you have moles and birthmark-looking things on your body. So you know what I'm saying. Probably aware of it already. But anyway, I use sunscreen during the summertime when the sun is up at that very high angle. I don't like getting sunburns either to begin with, because a sunburn is basically, you know, radiation. You know, it's you got radiated by the sun. So it's not good. It's not good. And you see a lot of these people that spent their life on the beach, surfers. A lot of them get melanoma, and it's very dangerous because that can metastasize very quickly in your body. And you know, the first cancer you get after you get treated for skin cancer is something like lung cancer or liver cancer or something else, kidneys. So it's definitely something you don't want to begin with. It has a high cure rate if caught early, so if you ever see anything abnormal with your skin, get it treated right away. Most of the time they don't even do surgery anymore. They just use this kind of like freeze kind of spray. Police and fire department. So a lot of times they don't even do surgeries on them unless it's something that's been there for a while and it has gotten worse. Because the first thing people do is, you know, they get some kind of sore or something and say, well, it'll clear up in a couple days, I'll just wait. Then it doesn't, it gets worse. So anyway, I suppose the worst place you could get it would be on your eyelid or on your eye itself. There have been a couple instances where that's happened. That's unfortunate because, you know, when you're going to do surgery on an eyelid, well, they did surgery on an eyelid and it's obvious. So anyway, use your sunscreen, folks. It's okay. You know, and you see a lot of people trying to poo-poo on that. Well, this company that makes this spray puts this chemical in there that causes skin cancer. Well, those have been banned. So, read the label before buying. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I'm going to switch hands because I've been carrying this for a while and my left hand is feeling strong and my right one here is feeling tingly from holding something. But right now I got my pew-pew jug. So this Saturday it's supposed to be about 50-51 degrees. Day after tomorrow, so we'll have fun shooting. Got a bunch of jugs to shoot, which is okay because I got a bunch of 223 Remington pointed soft points, which work very well on water jugs. Really good expansion from the soft tip. Rule number one, if you're going to shoot jugs for hydrostatic shock value, you can use good hollow points, those work, or pointed soft points. Full metal jacket or a total metal jacket, no good. Green tip, no good. Those are just hole punchers. They're not designed for hydrostatic shock. The reason why soft points are good for combat is most of your body is made up of water, and when you shoot somebody with those, the amount of damage is tremendous. Like if you shoot somebody in the head with one of those, there's not much of a head left. full metal jacket will go through the head, make a hole in the back. It won't be pretty, but for shooting jugs, you want to have a good sploof action when the jug explodes. Otherwise, you're just wasting jugs and bullets. I'm not even sure if there's such a thing as wasting bullets. They're just fun. They're a lot of fun. I'm just happy I can walk in Reeboks again. I've been asked in some of my walks, what's your best advice for walking shoes? Well, depends what kind of walking you're doing. If you're just walking on a street and you want something that's going to be kind to your feet, well, get shoes made for walking. But keep in mind, a lot of those are intended for people that work on their feet all day and not people that go walking. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've gone through a bunch of different brands, styles, and for me, for walking, running shoes have always been the best because they have that good rocking shape to them. They're not flat. You don't want things where you feel like you're walking with flippers when you're walking. That's my best way to describe it. You don't want your feet slapping down every time you take a step. By the time you're done walking a few miles, your feet are tired, they hurt, you're starting to get blisters on your heels. A lot of those sneakers today are, you know, they're flat. They sit flat. Converse sneakers, for example, the old vintage 70s style, are pretty popular again. Those canvas type sneakers, your feet slap when you walk. They're great if you're going to play basketball because you've got your feet planted in one place doing moves, which is why they're usually ankle high. Give your ankle support. And the other kind are low tops, not the Converse Adidas type. Well, actually they are. They're the low top Adidas type, I call them. A lot of people that ride skateboards like those because they can pivot their ankles easy. They're low cut and the soles are completely flat. And they don't work well for walking. I've tried different brands of running shoes. New Balance has a good one. My favorite are Reeboks, obviously. Worst shoes I ever got, and I tried 3 different pair, was Nikes. Absolutely hate them. Overpriced, underperform, they don't last. And speaking of shoes that are comfortable, designed well, but don't last, would be Skechers. Now they're fancier, leather, kind of casual shoes are okay. Hi. Oh, hi, look at the little doggy. How you doing? How you doing? You turn this around. Hi. Hi, puppy. Aw. You're a good dog. So we're getting hounded by a hound. Oh, that was a nice little doggy. See, that kind of thing makes me want to have a puppy. So anyway, oh, I smell somebody's wood stove going. there's another brand of shoe I tried. The sizing was all messed up, even though it was supposed to be my size. It didn't really fit. And it was, the name of that company was Camel something. You know, like a camel, a humped camel. It was a Camel something hiking shoes. For hiking stuff, Timberlands are always good. Now I'm going to say Nortiv 8, Nortiv 8 is okay. I do have a pair of their boots that were junk, winter boots. They were waterproof, they were damn comfortable, and I still use them anyway. But all of the loops that you thread the laces in on the bottom part, they all broke within 2 weeks of owning them. Very cheap metal, zinc, and they were made in China. Now the Nortiv 8 ones that I got after that, I got 2 pair. Those have been awesome. Hundreds and hundreds of miles I put on them. Nothing has gone wrong with them. They are starting to get a little beat, and a couple parts on it are starting to unsew on the toe cap. But the seams that hold the sole and stuff, fine still. And so I highly recommend Nortiv 8, even though I did have a bad experience. And unfortunately, what I have to do is I have to shop on eBay, and you have to find an ad where they show photographs of the actual product they're selling, so you can have a shot of inside the tongue where it says they were made. If they're made in Vietnam, it's a better shoe, you're good to go. Made in China, don't get it. That's my advice. So, a lot of shoes are made in Vietnam. So anyway, I had a guitar amplifier by an American company that was manufactured in Vietnam. It's very good. I had one, still have it, made in Mexico. Great amplifier, excellent amplifier. Tube amp, Fender, made in Mexico. And the issue I had with it is it has an automatic tube biasing circuit in it. You can't manually adjust the tube bias. It's supposed to do it by itself. And it's not working. I looked it up online. Many other people had the same problem. Fender is not exactly the easiest company to deal with for returns, especially for an amplifier. Had the receipt, had everything, and they didn't want to foot the bill for shipping. All right, so I'm gonna pay $90, which is what it would cost to mail an amplifier. They're heavy, they weigh about 40-50 pounds. Kind of an odd shape, so the shipping's expensive. Then I find out the warranty was expired. They only had a 12-month warranty. Well, that's the last time I got a Fender amplifier. I'm not even going to deal with that. Tube amps do strange things. Should have at least a 5-year. And it should be against defects in manufacturing, which this was. I'm not going to explain too much about tubes I'm talking about, other than remember the old TV sets and radios, the old AM radio Grandpa had? It had those tubes that would glow orange. Those are tubes. Now, a lot of the best vintage guitar amplifiers use tubes. It has a warmer tone. A lot of people that play vinyl records like to have their power amplifier, and it's tube-powered, tube technology from the 50s. And for audio equipment, it sounds great. So anyway, you have to have matching tube sets because of the nature of manufacture for tubes. They all have a different kind of like ohm resistance. They're vacuum tubes. They're not all exactly the same. And when you have 2 of them needed or 4 needed in line in a circuit, they have to be balanced with each other so one doesn't absorb more power than the other 3, which shortens the life of your tubes, which aren't cheap, and it also shortens the life of your transformer in your guitar amplifier, which is an expensive fix. So there's many reasons why you want your tubes biased. So at the end of the day, currently I have a $700 guitar amplifier that I'm not using because one of the tubes gets too hot, starts to do weird electrical things, and you lose the guitar tone that you want. It sounds flat, doesn't have a nice full tone, and you're damaging your amp when you try to use it. So $90 to ship it to Fender out of warranty. That means I would have to pay them to fix it, which would be $90 in shipping there, $90 in shipping back, probably $200 to $300 to fix it because the way they designed the amp, you can't get to it easily and you have to disassemble the entire amp, unsolder it from the circuit board. So there's at least three hours labor there. So we're talking, well, now we're coming up towards the price of just buying another amp of the same thing that works properly. So very irritating. Might be able to find somebody locally that knows what they're doing and trust that they do it right, but I don't want that headache either. So just gonna hang on to it for a while. A solution will present itself eventually. The good news is I'll have a brand new, hardly been used amp that will sound great. I have no shortage of guitar amplifiers either, is my point. I got some couple of nice tube amps I like to use. One is a Peavey, another one is another Fender, which sounds great. So, and I also have that Yamaha guitar amp simulator portable amp, which absolutely, it sounds exactly like vintage Van Halen. Any 80s hairband metal, it's got that same exact juicy, beautiful guitar tone, and I'm not exaggerating. It's like I plug and play that one often. I also still need to get guitar video on the website, on YouTube. It's not something I really want to do because there's different ways to do it. It's always very difficult to get it to sound good. I'm going to flip the camera around. Very difficult to get them to sound good on video unless you use a direct input into your computer, record the audio, and then put it over your video. There's too much production there, and I just don't want to do that. But I may just make a couple of videos with maybe just this GoPro sitting on a tripod, and I'll just sit there and play. Maybe talk about some of the guitars I have. I got a few. I don't have as many as I used to. And if I told you about all the guitars I had 3 years ago, you wouldn't believe me for one thing. You'd think I was making it up. So I'm not even going to bother. A lot of them were custom shop Gibson Les Pauls. All of them were very, very expensive. Just one of those really strange things at life that I'm not going to get into on here, but anyway, I can tell you that if you've ever wondered what it's like to not be poor, it's not as big a deal as you think it is. I'll just leave it at that. And so I can imagine it's like if somebody their whole life wants a 1957 Chevrolet Corvette. Their whole life they've always wanted one. They sell for big money now. You can pay a couple, $300,000. And then somebody gets one. It's fun for a while because, you know, you satisfied something you've always wanted. But then you realize how really unimportant it is. Especially when you see somebody you care about die, or other things going on in the world and people with bigger problems. You know, you just kind of feel dumb for owning it. You know, maybe that's me, but it's just how it goes. Anyway, getting a little breezy right now. We're gonna have fun shooting Saturday. My older brother got a Remington Model 8 auto-loading rifle. Built in 1910, I think he said. Very expensive bullets to shoot. I only shot 2 rounds. And I think he had told me he had 60 rounds that I'm sure he paid $150, $200 for, easy. Would not surprise me. It's a very rare round, difficult to find. Anyway, it's basically, it was a 30-30, but it was a 30-30 Remington, which doesn't have the rim. It's made for auto loading. So basically it was the same 30-30 cartridge, but with a different base on the casing. For semi-automatics, auto-loading rifles. I only took 2 shots with it, and what a sweet shooter. My goodness. It just never caught on because Winchester, with the Winchester 94, took the 30-30 market, basically is what happened. So it petered away, and it's a round I don't even think they make anymore. So I think he found somebody that does reloading, and he's going to have them reload for him, I guess. Somebody that's licensed to do that. So anyway, the reason why I say that is it is illegal to reload your own ammunition and then sell it to other people or sell your services, unless you're licensed. But that goes in the category of how would you even prove that? Unless you knew of the monetary transaction. Perfect example, we had during the ammo drought, somebody advertised on Uncle Henry's, a local classifieds, that they had a whole bunch of ammunition they needed to get rid of. A lot of it was 22 LR, and that was during the ammo shortage during the pandemic. So I met with the guy in a parking lot in Brunswick. He was stationed at the Brunswick Naval Air Station, and he didn't reload them himself, but there's no laws saying you can't sell ammunition to people. So this is where there was obviously a car accident where they hit the pole, and it looks like the pole won. So covered that on the last walk. So anyway, bought hundreds of rounds from that guy, and we had fun using it. So it is not illegal to sell ammo. It is, however, to reload yourself and sell it that way, unless you sell it to a licensed FFL. So you can reload and sell and not be licensed, but you have to sell it to somebody that's licensed. So somebody reloads their own stuff, it's illegal for them to sell it to you if you're not licensed. So I've never heard of anybody ever getting in trouble for that, unless they're really like manufacturing. So anyways, if you're a registered business and you make ammunition, you can sell it through a distributor. That's not illegal, and somebody doesn't need to be FFL licensed to buy it, as far as I know. There's a whole bunch of stupid rules. Personally, we should get rid of the whole rule book. Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. Don't tread on me, yada, yada, yada. Just my opinion-y. Oops. Already went for a ride there. Pretty soon these snowbanks here will be gone. Yeah, I thought that was probably the most interesting question I got from somebody watching the videos. That lived in a climate where they don't get snow, and they wanted to know, how do you keep your sidewalks so clean? We see all this snow, how do you get rid of it? Does the city shovel it or something? No, the city would never have somebody running shoveling crews. Oh, we got a chicken. See the chicken? Let's go see the chickens. Hi. Oh, we got ducks. We got ducks and chickens. Oh, look at the chickens. Hi, ladies. That's okay. Look how beautiful they are. Look at that. It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you. They're all a little skittish. Hi. This one taking up the back. That must be the senior. Making sure everybody's okay. There they go. Well, I have seen chickens in that yard before, but I never seen them running loose like that. So that was kind of cool. Wouldn't be able to even tell you what breed those are. I know one of them looks speckled. So I have heard, you know, these certain chickens with a speckled whatever. Wouldn't be able to tell you what a Rhode Island red looks like, but I've heard the name before. I'm assuming there's red involved. Might have been the white ones we saw. I don't know. Anyway, we saw some chickens. Chickens! Across the street here. This person does not know how to drive. Like a young person. It's their second attempt to back out. Decided to come over here where it's safe. So we did find a pew-pew jug today. And I know when I walk out in the street like I just did, they're like, oh geez, watch for cars coming. I looked with my head off camera. Yep, feels a little cool today, but it's okay. Much better than what we had a month ago. Anything's better than that. Switching out with the camera. Pretty soon I'll be walking in a shorts and t-shirt and complaining how hot it is. Isn't this great? Alright, what kind of container is that in the road? Hopefully that's a jug with a handle, because if it is, I'm going to take it. What is that? Oh, that looks like a it's a styrofoam container. You know what? I'm going to take this styrofoam container that has a lid, because when you fill these up with water and you shoot them, they put on a really nice show. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Tuck it under my arm. Make the weight of my arm hold it there. Doesn't weigh anything. There's all these ways you come up with carrying things from your walks. It's not taking any physical effort at all to hold these. Doggy barks at me today. You gonna bark today? Nope. They have a door with a little doggy door. Sometimes he hears me talking to you on the camera, and he comes out barking, or she. I think it's a she dog. Well, it's kind of nice to get all this free stuff to shoot cycle. We also have a simple green 2.5 gallon container we emptied. Got a whole bunch of milk jugs and other types of containers like for salads. All of those shoot very well when you fill them with water. The small, 16-ounce sodas, bottles, those are nice to shoot, but they don't put on as good a show as something bigger, so it's kind of like wasting ammo that costs more. So we just shoot with the more readily available stuff. .30-30 ammo, for example, prices have gone down again. .30-30 Winchester, you can get a box of 20 for about 21 bucks. Before the pandemic, it was about 18 or 19. So we're almost where we were. 9mm right now is very cheap. Cheapest I've seen it in a while. So if you haven't been shooting for a while because ammo prices were high and it was hard to find, good time to buy right now, online especially. Best search engine I found, which leads you to a bunch of ammo sellers online that are trusted. And you also can see what the shipping costs are, because that matters. Is ammo, AMMO, Seek, SEEK.com, ammoseek.com. It's just a search engine. But it's good. And one I like to use for firearms, I believe it's called Gun Engine. Gunengine.com. If you have a specific UPC, or you just type in the model and make or caliber you're looking for, you'll usually get a bunch of results pointing you to people that sell, and they actually have a list of what those places are selling it for and what their shipping is. So there's a lot of good tools like that. And we just had somebody else go by there screaming at me because I'm holding a camera. They want to be a superstar. Smell somebody smoking pot. Told you guys about that. Legal in Maine. Nothing I'm interested in. So we got pizza packs for $12.99. Corned beef, $6.99 a pound. They make their own here. And that's what's good about Bork's Market here, is they make a lot of the stuff they sell in their deli. It's not processed. It costs a little bit more, but it's better for you. It's like how food used to be. left, over here. All the stuff I go through for pew-pew jugs, I tell you. You guys have seen me carry 4. I think the most I've ever carried was 5. I had room for 1 more. But it makes for a lot of fun on range day. Because that goes with an olive oil container that I emptied. Milk jugs and other things. I also found a small bottle of nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide, by the way, is nitro that they mix with fuel to get extra boost in automobiles. But it's not flammable. A lot of people don't believe me on that, but it's not. So anyway, I found a canister of that I'm going to shoot. Now, I would not shoot liquid propane. That would be very dangerous. But basically, the nitrous is a CO2 pressured container. Pretty much the same thing as a fire extinguisher. And they actually do the same thing when you shoot them. So, contents are under pressure. So you do have to be a safe distance, but it will put on a smoke show. There's videos of that on YouTube, actually, if you don't believe me. Switch. I'm gonna switch hands carrying this stuff. Sorry about that. So I had to swap it over to the other side. So pretty soon I'll see my ducks in this little river over here, like we did last year. We'll have our ducks come out. Mallards. Oh, that reminds me. Yesterday I was sitting at the kitchen table and something caught my eye out the window up in the sky. I looked up and there was a big giant formation of about 24 geese, Canadian geese, heading back to Canada up north, which is not far from Maine, since Maine borders Canada. So that officially means winter is over. That means the lakes are thawing out, and these geese will be doing their waterfowl antics. I just thought I'd share that with you. Mother Nature knows when winter is over. Now, I'll say that, and the next week we'll get 2.5 feet of snow, or 3 feet, in the worst blizzard we've ever had. But for now, I'm calling winter officially over with. Pretty much the entire eastern seaboard is warmer than normal. I guess parts of Missouri and the mid-upper, kind of like the northeast part of the Midwest. Parts of Pennsylvania, Missouri, places like that are going to see 80 degrees this week, which is pretty much unheard of. I don't think it'll be a record. It's been warmer than that before. But you know how the media is with their climate change shtick. Anytime the weather does something it doesn't usually does. Oh, climate change, climate change. The world's ending. Well, I'll walk up this way. I'll end the walk up ahead here. This is that little stream here I see ducks in. It starts over here and goes down that way. Meanders through the woods down there and has a little tunnel that goes across the road underneath it, and the ducks travel through that from across the street there. Pretty interesting. Cut across the road here in a second. Cut across. Some water. Oh, look. Got an animal down there. What is that? What the fuck is that under the water? I think that was a rat. Big one. Going into the sewer pipe. It was a rat. First time I ever see that. I never seen a rat swimming underwater. At first they thought, you know, what is that, an otter? No. Had a long black tail and looked like a damn rat. Swimming around underwater looking for something to eat. Well, I'm gonna have to look that up online. Hopefully I got a good still I can take from my video to do a image search. It was definitely brown with black markings. And not really like black spots, but just the end of the hair was black in spots. Well, ain't that bizarre? It's some kind of rodent. A rodent. These companies here that have these pods, you know, locally it's kind of affordable, but I looked into having those pods with enough to move my stuff to Hawaii, because I actually thought about that a few years ago. That was before COVID, and I realized that would have been a mistake, because I'd still be locked down there probably. I'd probably still be in COVID jail. But I would miss Maine too much. Crazy as it sounds, Actually, what I need right now is a nice cold glass of water or some sparkling water. Or I might just opt for a nice hot coffee. Nice hot coffee would be good. Alright, have to change the battery. Cut across here. I'll turn this around, finish off the rest of the walk. We saw a cute puppy today. That was nice. That was a cute little dog. Made me want to get one. What makes me not want to get a dog is having to take the dog out walkies when it's 10 degrees. Or trusting that they're not going to run away and get lost or attack somebody cutting through the yard. You know, there's a lot of things that damper that. And then you have the added veterinarian visits, and then 10 to 15 years from now, the dog's going to die on you and break your heart. So I don't know. I've had 4 cats. The cats were all great cats, except one, he was a jerk. Minding his own business though. He was just always in the house. Never had to pay attention to him or anything. Once in a while he'd come around for a scratch or two, but pretty much mentally self-sufficient. And all 4 of them got old. 3 of them got cancer, and the other one had a stroke. So I've noticed a high incidence of cancer in cats, especially in the gums and mouth. And I bet a lot of that has to do with flea collars, flea powder, things like that that are not regulated like they should be for safety of animals. But you know, it's the kind of things that make you think. So, you know, a lot of dog food and cat food is processed. It's probably not very good for the cat or dog. So, I don't know if I really want one. If that makes sense. Anyway, we're going to be wrapping up this walk. I want to say thank you very much for walking with me today. Click like and subscribe, share the content, and yes, I got a notification from YouTube yesterday. I was declined again for monetization. They said there's too much content that goes against their terms of service for our advertising. Meaning, I support Trump and don't like Democrats, and I talk a lot about political issues. So that's pretty much it for that. Google, go fuck yourself. You're a bunch of communists. So anyway, we'll see you on the next walk, friends. God bless you. Say a prayer for your President Trump and your family. And we will see you on the next walk. Bye-bye, friends.